let's get into it. Okay, welcome in to TWIG. This is The Week in Geek, and I'm definitely not starting this without having pulled up the document. I wouldn't do that. That doesn't even sound like me. So we're going to get started today, as we always do, with our What Are You Watching, Reading, and Playing right now? This is our question that we ask every Friday over on the Discord, but we want to keep you honest and see, how did it go? What did you actually watch, read, and play in the past week? What was something that drew your interest and kept you engaged? I am watching Attack on Titan again. For whatever reason, I want to catch up with the show because I fell out of the show and I want to get back into it. And so I'm starting again from the beginning and just kind of binging it pretty quickly. I tell you, it sure is different watching a show at 1.5 speed on Netflix as compared to watching it in regular speed on Hulu, where I'm watching season 2. So that is a bummer, but it is what it is. I just finished reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and have started reading, what's it called? The Anthropocene Reviewed, or whatever it's called, by John Green. And I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I'm also reading Spelunky, which is the Derek Yu video game that they actually made a big book version of that you can read through his process of how he developed the game. It is a little bit heavier than I was expecting, but super enjoying it. And then I am still playing Yakuza 0, as well as playing through Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice again. I finally kicked back up that campaign, and we'll see if I'm able to make it a little bit further this time. Maybe if it's a little less racist. That would be swell this time, if it would be just a little bit less offensive in so many different ways with this particular version. I don't know what the deal is with this game and why this one got so disgusting, but it sure did. I'm in Yakuza 0 in Chapter 4. I think I'm just ahead of you, Stain. I'm in Chapter 5. So I'm ready to get deeper into it, but hoo boy, it really is kind of a slog. And I think knowing the length of the game doesn't help things. Let's see. Still frustrated by the lack of actual twigs, false advertising. Yeah, I can't deny it. I just finished A Darker Shade of Magic, a great read, and started Rise of Kyoshi, says H-Man. Stain says, that's Chapter 4 of Yakuza 0. Paris Bagda says, reading, just finished Tomorrow 3 as well. Loved it, 5 stars. Also binged through the manga series, Our Dreams at Dusk. Super fantastic. Oh, I should say, that's something else that I'm watching that will probably end up being a nerdy sermon. It is a new anime of the season called Heavenly Delusion, also called Tengoku Damaikyo, something like that, depending on where you're looking at it. And I'm real into it. I'm so sad that it's serialized because I do not want to wait a week for the next episode. It's real good. H-Man also says watching Shadow and Bone and rewatching Atla while learning the new TTRPG. Rock on. All right, we'll keep commenting in the chat the things you're watching, playing, and reading, and we're going to get into the top headlines of this week in Geek. The first one is Furby has been implanted with ChatGPT. They took a Furby and they gave it ChatGPT technology, and turns out that whenever you do that to a Furby, it begins to plan for world domination. Now, I think this is a little bit of a meme. I think this is a little bit of a meme article. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably not exactly true since it was posted on April 1st or April 2nd or something like that. This is what it is, and this is how it is, and we'll just see where Furby goes from here. This is, of course, Long Furby, and I know you all wanted to see this, so you're welcome. Next up in our random news articles, Sonic Frontiers is doing really well, and they're starting to release updates. The game developer said that they want to add Spin Dash in an upcoming update to kind of satisfy fans that are missing that factor of Sonic's moveset, but also said that since this game has done so well and has worked so well for millennials, really wants to contemplate adding a Chow Garden in the next game. For those of you that never played Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, holy moly, that absolutely made me fall out of my chair whenever I read that they were thinking about adding Chow Garden again. I cannot stress clearly enough how much I would lose all of my time if a new Chow Garden game was to be announced. I loved the Chow Garden. I was obsessed with it, and I really hope that they'll bring it back. So time will tell. We'll see how Sonic Frontiers continues to pan out, but I think they're fairly impressed with how this one did, and hopefully that means that we are on the precipice of something new and exciting from Sonic Team. Next up, The movie Renfield, with Nicolas Cage playing as Dracula, is going to be premiering this week. We'll hear about that in upcoming releases here a little bit later on in the show. But along with it, they also released a video game called Renfield, Bring Your Own Blood. If you go and download this game for $5 on the Steam shop, you will discover that it is a skin to Vampire Survivors. The wildly popular, is it a shmup? Is it considered a shmup? Is Vampire Survivors a shmup? It might be a shmup. I don't know if it's exactly a shoot 'em up or if it's a bullet hell or what exactly it is, but it's not difficult enough to be a bullet hell, so I think it's got to be a shmup. But if you haven't played Vampire Survivors, you should. It is a BAFTA winner, which is still crazy to me. I've heard Bullet Heaven. I like that. So it's a good game, and I have a feeling if this game did a good job coming up with a skin and bringing in some elements from the movie, then it's probably going to be pretty good as well. Great time killer, great like waiting, game if you're like at the doctor's office and you're waiting to get called back, or if you're like at a restaurant and you're waiting for your table to be ready, or whatever. This is a great waiting game, and hopefully Renfield does a pretty good job of capturing that experience. Next up, Final Fantasy 16 is going to have a 20-minute gameplay session today at the next Sony State of Play, happening today at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific today, in anticipation for the release of the game later on this year. So this is similar to what they did not too long ago with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, another 20-minute look at a game to kind of entice people. I think this is another response to E3, another way that they're filling time with E3, but hopefully it looks interesting enough to bring people in to want to play the Final Fantasy series again. I have not really caught on with a Final Fantasy game since Final Fantasy X, so it's not looking good that I'll end up playing this, but I will at least enjoy watching it and experiencing some of it. No cars in this one, no best friends touring the country together, but hopefully it'll still be a good story that'll engage and interest people. Next up, Lo-Fi Girl vanished. If you missed the news over on, let's see, what day was it? Was it the 11th? It was a couple days ago. Lo-Fi Girl vanished. For those of you that are not familiar with Lo-Fi Girl, she is a YouTube channel that is constantly live streaming lo-fi music as a anime girl that you pictured right there is working on homework. It is advertised as games, music to study or chill to, and she has been somebody that has been a mainstay on YouTube for years at this point. And starting not too long ago, people began to notice a change in the animation, where in the background you can see the kind of city buildings. There was one of the windows changed colors to a blue light. And then out of nowhere, Lo-Fi Girl vanished. She just disappeared from the stream. She was not there. Her desk was there. Her cat was there. Her city was there. The blue light was there, but she was gone. People were terrified. People were panicked. They thought she'd been abducted. They thought that there was some kind of horror element being brought into the Lo-Fi Girl lore. Something was happening. And then we got a countdown. And then we got a mysterious look at a second channel for Lo-Fi Girl, which was a door closed with a blue light behind it and a fish tank off to the side. People were even more spooked because closed doors happen to trigger certain things within our brain that give us kind of horror complexes. So people were real nervous about all of this. And then out of nowhere, the door opened and we discovered that not Lo-Fi Boy, Synthwave Boy was announced. So it was their marketing campaign of how they were going to announce a new streaming channel playing synthwave music. Synthwave Boy is now there. Lo-Fi Girl still exists and will still exist as far as this channel is concerned, but now we have a new boy and a puppers that sits along with him as they listen to synthwave, this time being advertised as games or as songs to game and chill to. So that is the new understanding of how Synthwave Boy is going to be working, and you'll also be able to see Synthwave Boy's window in the back of Lo-Fi Girl's home, and I assume vice versa. So there you go. Enjoy the relaxing music of all of this. And is Lo-Fi Girl and Synthwave Boy the evolution of radio stations? It just might be. It's intriguing to see how it's working and how it continues to take off. I don't know why this is working, but I'm glad that it's working for them, and I'm glad that it's kind of become a thing. For those of you that are familiar with friend of our community, Asia the Girl. Asia is a streamer. We've rated her a couple times. She is married to Frostbite 4 of Love Thy Nerd, Luke. And so Luke and Asia, that is their kind of brand, if you will. And Asia posted about this on TikTok, freaking out about Lo-Fi Girl vanishing, and then posted the reveal and got commented on by the Lo-Fi Girl, thus giving Asia some internet clout. I'll look at it right now. Let's see what she's currently sitting at, because this TikTok popped off as the TikTok do. So let's pull it up real quick so that I can get an idea of where she's currently sitting. Bear with me. 2 million views, 276.7 thousand. That's pretty insane. Lots of shares, lots of saves. Very exciting stuff. We're proud of Asia and always proud of when one of our own pops off on a social media platform, even if it is TikTok. We still appreciate and celebrate that kind of virality. It's always fun. Also a little bit anxiety producing, but fun nonetheless. With that, let's move on to our final news story of this segment. Nintendo Live 2023 was announced as the first in-person Nintendo event that I think I've seen in years. It is going to be in Seattle. I doubt I will be able to make it to Seattle in September, but if you live near Seattle or within driving distance, you'll be able to go to Nintendo Live 2023. It did actually start in 2019, but was only over in Japan and pretty much inevitably had to cancel because of COVID reasons, of course. But it's exciting to see them make the trip across the Pacific and begin to portray some of the things in America because of the fact that we keep seeing more and more of Nintendo at theme parks and things like that. It definitely seems like they're really wanting to make their push towards the American audiences, even more so than usual just through their video games. So pretty exciting to see as these opportunities continue to rise up. Hopefully they will live stream plenty of it. Again, this is yet another, in my opinion, response to E3s being canceled and another way that these mega corporations are continuing to flex on their ability to create their own events. So this is yet another example of why E3 probably was ready to go and why we're now moving on to something new in the form of iterations of E3 and Sony's State of Plays and all that sort of thing. So there we go. That is our final trending news headline of the week. Now we're going to move into my favorite segment of the show, which is from the Discord. So if you want to submit news to us, bit.ly/deartwig, DEARTWIG, and you can drop news over to us. Let us know what's going on, what's exciting in your world, and some things that you would like us to cover. I also occasionally will scrape some things off of the Discord, and that is what has happened today. So the first one is from Sneaky Pigs. Sneaky Pigs shared with us that Jack Black, who is currently very much trending because of his portrayal as Bowser in the Super Mario Brothers movie, expressed that he would like to see a Red Dead Redemption 2 or even just Red Dead Redemption 1 movie being created after the success of The Last of Us. So obviously this has less to do with Super Mario's and more to do with Last of Us, but it is interesting to see where that goes, how that will go, and whether or not Jables thinks that he should be in it or not. My opinion, my kind of hot take on RDR is that I think it's just another cowboy picture, and I think that we probably have done a lot of the best cowboy pictures out there. I think it would be really tricky to find a good director for it, because I'm trying to think of the last person that has created a good cowboy flick, and I really like the last one that I really enjoyed was like, what is it, 3:10 to Yuma? Like the Russell Crowe, Christian Bale one. That was forever ago. So I don't even know. We just haven't seen, we haven't seen a lot of, and that was 2007. We've definitely had one since 2007. But that's like the last cowboy picture that I can remember really enjoying. I think that there's always like a chance, that's not good. There's always a chance that maybe we'll have like, since Tarantino is now like done making movies or whatever, that would be exciting, but I think that's unlikely. Let's see, Taylor Sheridan should do it. Let's look up who that is. Taylor Sheridan. Oh, is that Yellowstone? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yellowstone is definitely like the biggest. I mean, come on. Isn't Yellowstone kind of just Red Dead in a more modern context? I mean, it's got that. It's definitely got the like drama. It's got the intrigue. Hell or High Water was also a really good one that I thought was good, at least. That was David Mackenzie. 1883 I never watched. Oh no, post-war hand. Oh, not Doge hype. No thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. Man, David Mackenzie had never done anything like Hell or High Water before. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that it's a fine idea, but we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. I grew up watching a lot of cowboy pictures because those are my dad's like favorite. And I also played Red Dead, and Red Dead for me was fine. Fits the time of Red Dead, yeah. It was fine. It was a fine story. I think the ludology of Red Dead is better than the story, but I don't want to step on any toes. Maybe that's just my opinion. Last of Us is really just okay to play. The story is what sets it apart, and that's why I think it made such a good TV show. Red Dead is amazing to play, and the story's really just all right. So we'll see if they are able to kind of hold on. But again, those are all my opinions, my takes. So maybe you disagree. Maybe you can think of a better way to present it. I think that H-Man's already put forward some great creators. So we'll see if that takes off and if HBO runs with the money there that they've gotten from The Last of Us. With that, our next bit.ly/DearTwig that was also contributed by Sneaky Pigs. Bowser, not that Bowser, of course. The other Bowser, Jack Black, sang a song during the movie Super Mario Brothers called Peaches, and it was revealed that it is actually going to be eligible for Oscar consideration. So that's pretty exciting to hear that there is some opportunity for a movie as silly as Super Mario Brothers movie to be considered for an Oscar for music. That's pretty fun, especially a song that is really such a throwaway. Do I think it deserves it? Probably not. It wasn't a great song, but it was goofy. And it was Jack Black, and who doesn't love Jables? So we'll see where that goes and where that continues to go, but exciting, and we appreciate Sneaky for submitting both of those. bit.ly/DearTwig. If you want to contribute news to Dear Twig, or to Twig, rather, the Weekend Geek, then be sure to let us know either by going to that link or by dropping it over on our Discord and letting us know the information that we need to know to share in the public. So there we go. With that, we're going to move on to my actual favorite part of the show, which, hang on, I need to turn on my... It's an objectively bad song, but it's fun, and I'd love to see it on the noms list. Yes, the noms list would be fun. I hope it doesn't win. That's a good way of putting it. Okay, now, to my actual favorite part of the show. At this point in nerd history. That's right. It is this day in nerd history. Everything that came out on April 13th throughout time and space. We'll start with movies today. Movies that came out on April 13th of 2020 or 19s, whenever it might have been. The first movie that came out was Rampage, which I really can't believe this game is as old, or movie is as old as it is. Rampage came out in 2018. I never actually saw it. I just assumed it would be awful, so never saw that one. A very much the opposite end of actually a good movie that I expected to be bad, Cabin in the Woods, came out on this day in 2012. If you've never seen Cabin in the Woods and you're a horror movie fan, you are doing yourself a disservice. You should see Cabin in the Woods. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent film. And then in 2007, the Shia LaBeouf classic Disturbia hit the scene. So those are three movies that came out throughout time and space. Video games that came out throughout time and space. The indie cult classic hit Xbox Live Arcade. Do you even remember Xbox Live Arcade? In 2012, and the game was Fez. Fez, one of the genre-defining indie games, Fez 2012. One of my personal favorite games of all time, Hotel Dusk Room 215, hit the UK market back in 2007. Another game hitting the UK market on this day in history was Pokemon Ranger, which I've never actually played, also 2007. In 1998, some of you may remember this game, Tonka Garage, a garage building simulator game published by Tonka in which you could design Tonka trucks on your computer. Very DOS heavy, very fun, a real nostalgia trip for me. If you've never seen Tonka Garage, you should look it up. If you don't remember playing it and you did play it, it will be an instant nostalgia hit as soon as you see it. In 1992, Link to the Past, the classic Legend of Zelda game that kind of changed that generation, hit the US markets in 1992. In 1990, the Batman video game, not the Batman the video game, not the Robert Pattinson The Batman, hit the Game Boy Advance in Japan in 1990. And then this is just kind of a fun one. A random one that I found at this point in history was in 1870, on April 13th of 1870, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City was founded. The Met has been around since April 13th, 1870. I thought that was a fun fact for the lovers of art and all those sorts of things, and also just lovers of history. Pretty interesting fun fact. So there you go. That has been At This Point in Nerd History. All right. With that, we're going to move on to our penultimate segment of the show, the upcoming releases for this week. So these are all the movies, video games, DLC, comics, anything coming out from this day until next Wednesday, which is the day before TWIG airs. So these are all the things hitting the silver screen. We'll start with movies. Coming out tomorrow, as I already mentioned, is Renfield, the Nicolas Cage vampire flick. And then also hitting the silver screens tomorrow is The Pope's Exorcist, which is a Russell Crowe Exorcist-like horror movie. We will see how it does. It looks pretty campy and pretty bad, but sometimes camp can be a fun watch. And then on the 19th next week, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reunion video movie documentary, whatever it's going to be, is hitting Netflix. So that is on the 19th. If you liked MMPR and you want to see some of the behind the scenes footage and a reflection from actors today, that is happening on the 19th. With that, we're going to move on to a ton of games. We have 23 games releasing over the course of the next week. That's so many games. So I'm only going to hit the highlights of the ones that I think are probably the most interesting. First up, we have A Night in the Attic hitting on the 13th. Boundary hitting on the 13th. Dogfight, a sausage bomber story hitting on the 13th. Hunt the Night also out on the 13th, which is all these are today. Kill It With Fire VR, which is a VR remake of the Kill It With Fire video game in which you burn down your house to get rid of a spider, hits today. Shard Punk Verminfall, also happening today. Trinity Fusion today, and Voodolls. All those games are coming out today, so you can find those games likely on your game store of choice at this minute. Tomorrow, we're going to see Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection Volume 1, which is a mouthful. But the first volume of the Battle Network Collection will be hitting, I believe, Switch and maybe Steam, maybe PlayStation, I can't remember, tomorrow. So if you're a big fan of Battle Network, or if you're like me and you just missed the opportunity to ever play those games, those will both be hitting, at the very least, the Switch tomorrow. And then Ultra Pixel Survive will also be hitting tomorrow. Star Trek Resurgence for our Star Trek fans will be hitting the 15th. So if you like NG and you want more of that story, or you want to play within that world, that is when that is happening. Beyond the Long Night is coming out on the 17th, as well as Recollection coming out on the 17th. Desktop Dungeons Rewind. They took Desktop Dungeons and remade it. That will be happening on the 18th. The seriously has not been talked about since it premiered at a random E3 Disney Speedstorm, the Disney kart racer that just totally floated under the surface for a long time, will be hitting on the 18th. Europa Universalis 4 Domination on the 18th. God of Rock, which is a music competition, a music fighter, kind of like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but you are against someone else by default. It's a versus mechanic by default. We'll be hitting the markets on the 18th. Minecraft Legends, the latest Minecraft iteration, also on the 18th. And then exciting for our friend H-Man, if you're still in the chat, The Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story, will also be coming out on the 18th. With that, moving on to the 19th, the last optional day, a Medieval VR will be hitting the scene on the 19th. Final Fantasy 1 through 6 will be compiled in their pixel format as a pixel collection, hitting the market on the 19th. So if you have been missing out on your Final Fantasy pixel collection, or if you've been holding off to get them cheap, they will be fully collected together on the 19th. Moons of Darsalon hitting the scene on 19th, and Survival, Fountain of Youth on the 19th. With that, we're going to move on to DLC. We have 2 DLCs coming out in the next week. Today, the latest, as I already mentioned, Vampire Survivors. Tides of the Foscari will be dropping today on the 13th. I'm not sure if that'll be happening on mobile, which is where I personally play. So I'm not even sure if it's available to me right now, but new characters, new maps, new modes, new weapons, all sorts of things will be hitting the market today. And then on the 19th, the latest DLC for Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, set in Los Angeles, will be happening on the 19th. And finally, comics for the week. There are 2 comics coming out this week. Mr. Mammoth is going to be published by Dark Horse. Looks like a kind of vigilante, is he a bad guy, is he a good guy detective story. And then Summoner's War Awakening will be hitting the market on the 19th. So I don't know Summoner's War as a series, but if you do, then it looks like a new installment called Awakening is hitting on the 19th. With that, we're going to move into our final segment of the show, our meme of the week. Today's meme is by Sneaky Pig, and this is everybody's favorite Easter meme. We'll make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see. This is Peter and John recreating over the Captain America Falcon meme, in which John, as Captain America, is about to race past Falcon as Peter. Don't write it. Don't you dare write it. And then John, 24, they both ran together. The other disciple outran Peter and came to the tomb first. And then we have Falcon upset that Captain America lapped him. And the same goes for Peter being outran by John. Funny memes, church memes, gotta love it. And that has been your week in Geek. So that is all the news, all the things that you need to know from the past week. If you like this weekly deep dive into the nerdy news, let us know by clicking that like button. Odds are, if you watched this far, or if you listened this far into the podcast, then you probably liked this one. Let us know that this is something you enjoy, and we will keep on creating it as best as we can. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope that you have fun with it too. Yes, Perry, do say hi to our YouTube friends that are watching this. Now, YouTube, if you are watching, be sure to continue keeping the interactivity going. Respond to these articles with thoughts that you might have. Tell me that I'm wrong about things. Tell me that I'm right about things. Say some things that you're excited about or want to weigh in on. Or, at the very least, just drop down in the comments and say, what have you watched, played, or read in the past week? Even that is enough to make us happy to know that you are enjoying this content and engaging with it. With that, we're going to end this video as we always do with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. And number 3, we believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, and until the next time that we see you, whether it be this Sunday for a nerdy sermon, whether it be some other content here, or whether it be same time, same place for Twig next week, I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye!